and focus. Click the links to send me comics or to support the channel via Ko-fi, Patreon, or just hit the subscribe button and you can get started arguing in the comments. Is Comicsgate immune from the economic downturn? Probably. Comicsgate is a premium product. There are a lot of whales who buy comics, and when a comic is $30, someone buying a few a year won't break the budget. But the thing is, you don't have a lot of people buying 1 or 2 books a year. You have a smaller number buying a half dozen or so a year. Does that make the market more or less stable? I don't know. I do know that people will be getting back to work pretty quickly. Life goes on, business must go on. If the world population is going to dip a few percentage, there's nothing we can do about it, other than creating a vaccine as soon as possible. The immediate effect will be to turn America blue very fast. There's a lot of people who are more susceptible to the virus over, say, 60, and as you get older, you tend to vote more conservative. You vote red. So that population is going to be wiped out by the globalist sickness. States are going to flip blue forever. The demographics were going to shift to a south-of-the-border majority in about 2040. That majority will happen much sooner, probably in 10 years. My point is, the easy answer is to try to grow the Comicsgate audience. So if it turns out that people buy 2 books a year instead of 4, then we need to double that audience, which will happen, but for the sakes of the guys who have projects, we should grow the audience faster. EVS has 130,000 subs and about 3,000 or 4,000 backers, so it's about a 3% conversion rate. The first Cyberfrog had a $60 average. This campaign is going to be a higher average and should get to 1 to 1.5 million in 3 weeks. Yes, I really do think it'll do that well. It depends on if people decide to go back to normal tasks, which people will. Then the stock market will start to come back. And medical supply stocks should be doing very well. Another thing to think of, people aren't going out as much, definitely doing that social distancing thing. So people are home watching YouTube and Netflix, which should grow the Comicsgate Associated Network, or if you don't like that term, just call it SGW Free Comics. The weird thing is, Comicsgate channels are not growing as fast as I had assumed. I assumed EVS's and Zack's channel to have reached 300,000 subs by now, so it's a little puzzling why they haven't, but the money's still out there. By now, Cyberfrog 2 is probably over 400,000, which is pretty amazing for the first week and during a pandemic. And I don't think the Comicsgate market has peaked. I mean the potential audience. I know there are people who would dig us, but for some reason aren't interested or have been scared away for some reason. I'm sure I have no idea why. Or rather, people are coming in and leaving at the same rate. Ultimately, for the flagship projects like Cyberfrog and Jawbreakers, this isn't going to hurt them. So it doesn't matter if the audience isn't growing. At least it didn't matter before the WuFlu. Perhaps that will change things. Another thing to consider is maybe this isn't the right time to launch a project. Maybe it's better to wait a year or 2 when there is a vaccine. You can still use the time to grow your YouTube channel, work on your writing and art, or Instagram or Facebook or whatever is the best channel for you. Learn how to tell a story as succinctly as possible. Cut out repetition and trite, hackneyed, overused phrases. I've seen a few Comicsgate books, I won't name names, Stardust, where the writing just isn't ready for publication. Consider this. When the vaccine comes out, the economy is going to come roaring back. So set yourself up for a launch 18 months or 2 years from now. If you're sitting in quarantine avoiding humans, you may as well start your YouTube channel. And I don't necessarily mean people are going to be, hard quarantine, but it's more like people just aren't going to be going out as often. So they're going to be spending more time being socially distant, which is not such a good thing, really. Just start a channel. Talk about something a few times a week. Do a live stream talking about the many rice recipes or the various, and I'm sitting on about 150 pounds of rice, so I'm feeling pretty good. Or the various uses for the potato, because I get the feeling we will all be eating a lot of these things. Or maybe how to build a backyard still to make your own hand sanitizer. And I got a few bottles of those too, but I had those before this thing, WuFlu Boogaloo, and I always thought they were silly because you can just use a bar of soap. I get the feeling in spring you're going to see a lot of home garden projects. We're all going to be very Hobbit-like in our love of potatoes. Or the wide world of toilet paper alternatives. Yes, that is actually a thing. I hope you never have to DuckDuckGo how to make human fertilizer. The sales of bidets have taken off. There's even a portable pump thing with an angled nozzle. I suppose desperate times call for desperate measures. Did you know that the not Japanese torture dogs before they eat them? F those not Japanese. Oh no, don't be istophobic to those people who eat rats and bats. How about no? How about maybe we need a little istophobia? Globalism does not seem to be working. Oh, but it wasn't real communism. Well, hey, it wasn't real fascism. Maybe Hirohito will do a better job next time. Nobody says that. But there are people who are desperate to bring back communism because they think that their tribe will be in charge. The disabled bundles of sticks on Twitter are saying that we are just like Venezuela because people have to wait a few days before buying 500 rolls of toilet paper. Yeah, that is every day in Venezuela. The rest of Latin America just uses whatever paper they have handy or banana peels. But yeah, the two situations are totally equivalent. Let me ask a basic question. If it wasn't for the West's open border policy, would we even have these types of not Japanese sicknesses? Here's a crazy idea. What if Western nations had borders? Diversity is our strength. Are you sure about that? Because it really doesn't seem like it is. Eat the bat, bigot. Eat the bugs, live in pods, cut your children's reproductive organs off. Why are all the churches in Europe burning down? Why are they building mosques? This isn't tinfoil hat stuff, it's all over the news. Well, it's not in the mainstream news, and it's starting to be censored in the alt media like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. But good thing for 4chan, DLive, and BitChute, they will allow freer expression, which is why the mainstream media hates them. Doesn't it seem weird that the mainstream media wants to censor the alt media? Shouldn't they be for free expression? If you really want to laugh, go read the Wikipedia on BitChute. I think the big projects will be fine, but people are less likely to gamble $35 on a comic by a newcomer who doesn't really look ready. That $35 will buy a lot of rice and toilet paper, which is like the new gold in today's economy. And Liberty devices. And freedom pellets. If things really go south, well, comics could probably go to the cheapest paper and printing possible. If you print on newsprint and simplify the colors and covers, you can drop those $25 comics for 48 pages to $10 or less. Alterna sells a 24-page comic for $1.50, so there are budget alternatives available. And I know they have the economy of scale, but even if you scale up and add on a penalty for shorter printing numbers, you're still able to get a book out there for probably about half of what they're currently selling for. Actually, Peter Samedi of Alterna brought this up when he was he gives the mainstreamers a lot of crap, a lot of feedback. And he was talking to them about it, and he was saying, he sells Alterna books for $1.50 to $2.50. And they didn't really have a good response to that. And the thing is, I'm hearing, I won't name names, EVS, he's got a pretty good model going about, he's selling a premium product, and I get that. So for him, to sell a $25 book, that's fine, that's one thing. But for a lot of these other guys, you probably want to think about, well, how does Alterna sell these books? How do they sell them so cheap? They don't use this fancy inks, the printing, the hardcovers, all those kind of things. Like if you're Doug TenNapel or EVS or Mike Miller, you've got a known name. But if you're not those guys, you probably want to start with something cheaper. I'm just saying, look for alternatives. The average Cyberfrog 2 purchase was $121. So these buyers are not on a budget. But if you are a first-time artist or creator, you may want to look into selling your book in the cheapest format you can find. You might be able to team up with 2 other creators. You get 3 guys to sell 3 books at a time and have them printed and shipped from the same printer. You'd be able to save a ton of money on shipping. A lot of artists and writers are not thinking like businessmen. You don't have Ethan Van Sciver's name recognition to sell $120 books. Print a 50-page floppy for as cheap as you can. And I don't see a lot of these people doing live streams. Get out there on the shows, just jump on for 15 minutes. Start on the small shows, then just work your way up. And let me just say this. You need to have a really good attitude if you're selling a product. And I'm not going to name names on this because this person's already really pissed at me. But you really got to keep a smile on your face because you're selling to people. You're selling to people. And half of the sales is you're selling yourself. So here's the thing. Even if there is an economic depression, not merely a recession, people are still going to buy comics. But you're going to have to find cheaper ways to sell them. People will send me copies with the most crazy packaging, bagged and boarded in boxes surrounded by styrofoam and foam inside another box, which is awesome. It's great. But I think for the next year until there's a vaccine, just shove the comic in a plastic bag, then in an envelope. It's better to ship a comic for $15, make a small profit, than not to sell anything. I don't think digital is the answer because it's too easy to pirate. And it's really not that desirable. But run the numbers. If you can make the math work, then try it. You probably need to sell quite a few more digital copies to make it work. But here's another idea. Add on your digital copy to someone else's campaign. I don't see people working together to sell product. I hate to say think outside the box, but start thinking creatively. Times are going to be tough for the next 2 years. Even the pros are worried. There are rumors that some of the mainstream SJWs want to jump in the crowdfunding game. I wish them well. I am of the live and let live belief. I wish all of Comicsgate, and for old school Comicsgate, we just have a come to Jesus moment. No, it's not the apocalypse, but we are going to lose some parents and grandparents, thanks to diversity as our strength. Doesn't it seem silly to bicker like children? I wish the SJWs well, but I agree with Ethan and John Malin on this. You cannot work with people who will stab you in the back. Hell, there's some guys in Comicsgate who will stab you in the back. Definitely no names on that. Actually, now that I think about it, well, I will have to think about this further, but for now, it's probably better to wish them well and keep your distance from them. Anyway, you can like, comment, subscribe, or not. Break my heart. This is Wuhan Got You All Infected. I forget this chick's name. She was on BitChute and Twitter originally, and she's doing this video that I can't play the audio for because it's Base Department. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Anyway, check it out, and check out this video. All right, guys, I will see you all next episode.